What is going on, everybody? Burger Creations back here with another video, and today I got a super exciting video where we will be printing terrain for Star Wars Legion. Now before we get into that, I do want to give a huge shout out to you guys for being so awesome and so supportive of the channel. I think we passed 140 subscribers, and honestly, just amazing. It's honestly so cool. If you're new here, join along, join with the fun, join the family. You can subscribe down below. Also, I launched a brand new TikTok with exclusive 3D printing content only on there, so you can follow me there. It's also Burger Creations. Link will be in the description. But without further ado, let's get straight into this video. So if you don't know what Star Wars Legion is a super cool Star Wars miniature game. Now this game, you can actually reenact or just create your own Star Wars battles at your own table. And it's super cool because you can choose a side, either Rebels, Empire, Republic, or Separatists, and you get to build an army and take charge of that army against a friend or an opponent to go to victory. The coolest thing about Star Wars Legion is the amount of creativity you can add to the game. There is no set board. The starter set does come with a couple pieces, but you can basically make the board whatever you want. So obviously with the 3D printer, we can print our own terrain. So today we have 3 super cool terrain prints that I think will come out and look amazing and will grow great with the Star Wars Legion game. And you know what, without further ado, let's just get straight into it and start building some terrain. Alright, so for the first print, we're actually going to use my brand new resin printer instead of my regular FDM print. Now the other prints will be on the regular 3D printer, and you can print this on a regular 3D printer, but I decided I want to use my resin print to get the really high details. So these crates are thing 2828193, and these are basically crates put together to help create a barrier. These can be used to replace some of the metal barriers you get in the starter set, or can just be used as additional barriers. Now that thing number that I gave you, that actually gives you access to, I think, about 4 different barriers, and then all the scattered terrain like the boxes, the barrels, the crates individually, so you have plenty of stuff to work with if you don't like this setup and want to make your own. And this print took about 2 hours to print on the resin printer. Alright, so next up is we have some moisture evaporators. So these are thing 2856961. So they come in either you can print it as one full moisture evaporator, or they have some sets where it pulls out the pieces individually. This is how I printed them. Now I did print 3, but you can use this either for the moisture evaporator mission, or if you're like me, I'm just printing these purely for terrain to have a more Tatooine feel. Now this print is going to take about 12 hours and 46 minutes and then use about 67 grams of filament. So for our last print is going to be a Tatooine house. Now this house is actually not the one I printed for this video and the one you were going to see. For some really weird reason, I cannot find that file anywhere. I looked through Thingiverse, I thought I maybe got it from YouTube, but I spent a good amount, about an hour, trying to search for that file, and I have no idea where it went. It's just gone. So this I found would be a close substitute to the Tatooine house you're going to see being printed, and you can use a lot of the same design styles that I use with my print on this print to make your house look like it's from Tatooine as well. Now this guy you do have to print in 2 different parts. So first will be the base and then the roof. So for the base, it's going to take about 15 hours, 53 minutes, and use about 103 grams of filament. And finally, for just the roof itself, it takes about 7 hours, 4 minutes, and it takes about 53 grams of filament. Now, all these prints I am printing with an infill density of 20%, a temperature of 209, and a build plate of 67, with a print speed of 40 milliseconds with standard quality. I find these are the best settings for my printer. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get these printed and let's get painting. Alright, so the paint just finished drying on all our models, and honestly, they all look pretty damn cool. So we got our barricades looking pretty nice, worn out, a little rusty, but they still popping a little bit, same with the other one. Our moisture evaporators, a little too shiny for my taste. I did do 2 coats of black wash, but it just kept slipping right off. So it didn't seem to be doing much. I think that's just because of the finish of the metallic spray paint that I used, but nevertheless, they do still look good. And then finally, which turned out, I think, much better than I thought, and it was looking really dodgy a lot of times, was our actual Tatooine house. So let's get a closer look at everything and check all these models out. Alright, so the first 3 terrain pieces we're looking at is the moisture evaporators. Now these things definitely, the print definitely came out extremely good. I mean, you can see a couple defects here and there, but that can be easily fixed up with just cleaning it up. But I mean, overall, this looks just like the actual terrain piece they sell themselves. Now for this model, we did a metal gray metallic spray paint, and then we did do a red dot and 2 red dots here with a white line to simulate kind of the buttons and lever. And then we did run a dark wash and a rust wash over this, but nothing really stick too well. I mean, you can see the dark wash a little bit down here on this one, but overall it still is a decently shiny moisture evaporator. I didn't want to do it too much to make it all like weird looking, because as you can see right here, this piece did not come out as great. Kind of looks a little stained in my opinion, which I don't love, but I mean, all these other ones did come out. This one is definitely the shiniest. It looks like for some reason, except for the back, like right here, that one doesn't look too bad. I do have one overblotch right here and down here, but otherwise it looks like worn, which is the look I kind of wanted to get, rather than shiny looking brand new ones. This one has a lot right here. It's like kind of clumped up. This one, I think that must have been a misfire by the spray paint. But overall, still looking really good. So now these are the moisture evaporators next to an official Star Wars Legion miniature. This is obviously Luke Skywalker, and these things definitely do what they do. They're tall, they overpower kind of the miniature, so definitely cool terrain pieces to add, and probably provide some light cover, but also use for the actual mission itself. But not my favorite terrain piece we printed out of this lineup, but definitely cool ones nevertheless. Now next up is our barriers, and these things came out really sick. So I printed these to kind of replace, or try to replace, some of the barriers you get in games to stuff, you know, that would more likely be an actual barrier. You're not going to have a metal barrier a lot of times just in the middle of the field or right next to an actual building. So what these did is it creates a barrier out of the boxes, different oil cans, ammunition boxes, etc. And I think these things look cool. I think the dark wash and especially the kind of the orange wash we did to simulate rust did numbers on this thing, making it look a lot more worn, a lot more detailed, and just look more like it could fit. I did love how they looked without the paint. I mean, they did look shiny and bright, but it was a little too shiny and bright for this type of game, because not everything on the battlefield should be shiny and bright. So I definitely think the dark wash and our little rust wash did really well to help blend these guys in. And I'm honestly, the model, I did this in an SLA resin printer, so these are resin, so that's why the models are so highly detailed and came out beautifully. But the models are absolutely amazing, and they really are a high quality model, and they print extremely well, especially on resin printers. So this is what the barriers look like next to our couple units over here. We have a unit of Death Troopers from Star Wars Legion. They are a bit lower than I think I would have wanted. I mean, especially this back one, just because this is one box lower. I mean, the creator had a bunch of different designs. I just went with these because they look the most different. But as you can see, our unit is a little bit more exposed than I honestly would like to be it in a barrier, but on this one it's a lot better. And then when he gets behind the cans, I think it looks really good. I know it's hard to see in the camera. Let me reposition it. So when he gets behind the cans, I think it definitely fits well and looks well. Against the smaller boxes, not as much, but that would honestly be more of like an actual battle situation because you won't have an even barrier wherever you go. So it definitely is a little bit more realistic. If you like that constant height, maybe look for one that's more barrels or more stacked up high. I know this one is a little bit better, but that yellow barrel really does look the best against all these Legion miniatures. But overall, still an amazing print, and they came out looking really nice. So last up, we got probably one of my favorite terrain pieces that we printed, and something that I honestly thought looked out terrible in the beginning and I think came out looking really nice at the end, and this is our Tatooine house. So I know I didn't film too much of the painting of this just because I was really trying to fix it, but this is just a 3D printed Tatooine house on a typical FDM printer, which I use the Ender 3 V2. All these little marks right here is coarse pumice that I rubbed against it with a sponge. I definitely think I should spread it out a little bit more evenly. As you can see, some clumps and then some bare spots, but overall I kind of just wanted to give it a random textured look, and it definitely worked out that way. So after I put on the coarse pumice, I spray painted it tan and then sealed it. That way a lot of the coarse pumice pieces will not kind of just fall out. Some of them still do, as you can see kind of on the floor here, but most of them, like a lot, especially the big chunks, stay really nice and touch. After that, I actually touched it up with a little bit of brown, white, regular tan, and just kind of went crazy with dry brushing it just to give it kind of a more worn look, kind of a different kind of, as you can see right here, you can try a mix of white, brown, and a little bit of tan, just to give it a little bit more of a color, more pop, and I think it came out absolutely amazing. The door, I just did a typical brown. Once I finished painting the door, I kind of just took a dry brush and rubbed it against it to get the wear and tear on the door, and again, I think that looks really cool. I have to say, I was really scared of looking at this print at first. It did not look good whatsoever, but honestly, after going through everything, this thing is my new favorite piece of terrain, and it looks really cool, and it's really big. This is what an official Star Wars Legion miniature looks next to the building. The door is absolutely perfectly sized for the miniature as well as the building. Definitely can provide or get rid of line of sight really, and you can even kind of throw your barriers right on the side here, or honestly I think I would try to do like something maybe around here with a couple other scattered terrain. Overall, super impressed, and the model was brilliant, and I think the paint job, which honestly I'm usually terrible at, came out amazing. Alright guys, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Let me know that if you want to see more of this type of video, or if you want me to do a part 2 of building Legion terrain. I think all the Legion terrain came out super cool, and honestly, I'm really excited to put them in my game and probably build more to make either a whole of Tatooine or kind of do whatever I want, which is the coolest thing about a 3D printer, is you can kind of create whatever you want or whatever you're feeling. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram to get updates and different pictures about the channel. I also, as I announced in the beginning of the video, now have a TikTok where I'll be doing exclusive 3D printing content as well as some more in-depth perspectives of videos we do here. So if you want to do that, make sure you hit the link down in the description to follow me there. And again guys, I can't thank you guys enough, and I'll see you next week for another amazing video. Have a great day guys. Peace.